That's why I wore the Filipino flag on my chest when I did The Tonight Show. A lot of people always ask me, why'd you wear that flag on your chest when you did The Tonight Show? Because I wanted other Filipino kids that wanted to be a comic be inspired when they saw me that night. If they saw me that night, they would be like, yo, I can do that too.
In recent years, many films such as Crazy Rich Asians, The Farewell, and Minari have opened the door for greater Asian American representation in Hollywood. But in the case of Filipino-Americans, underrepresentation in the American film and TV industry has been an ongoing issue, especially when racial stereotyping has played a role in how Asian Americans and Filipino-Americans have been portrayed. It's crucial to understand the importance of representation of underrepresented communities. The power of representation in culture can have a strong impact on an individual's identity and how people perceive that person outside of themselves. For Filipino-Americans and other underrepresented communities, not being included in the narrative of what it means to be American can make those communities feel less important, underappreciated, and even makes it difficult for them to figure out their piece of the puzzle. Oftentimes, minorities and other communities of color face the consequences of misrepresentation in film and media.
You're looking at the face of a Filipino-American man who was slashed while standing on a train to work.
I don't know if it is because of the pandemic. I really don't know because I'm Asian. I have no idea.
These inaccurate portrayals of race can influence viewers who may not have much experience with people of color and are only limited to representations in the media. Therefore, only having negative portrayals or no representation at all can lead to misconstrued perceptions of minorities. Particularly in a time of anti-Asian hate, normalized negative representation can lead many people to believe that these misconstrued representations are true and justify their thoughts and actions against Asian Americans. It is important to highlight the different stereotypes depicted of Asian Americans in the media and why they are harmful to the image of those communities. One of the most commonly known stereotypes is the model minority. This stereotype upholds white supremacy by supporting the notion that aligning oneself with whiteness will be beneficial and maintains the belief that Asian Americans are foreign and a token commodity for white imperialism. The model minority is usually portrayed in film and TV as naturally smart, socially awkward, successful, and hardworking. This stereotype negatively affects the Asian American community, leading to mental health problems and self-esteem issues.
You would be surprised how effective stereotypes are to people. Even if you think you're smart and you understand that it's just a fake character, those things can get stuck inside all of us. So it's really important.
This is Masashi Nawano, Festival and Exhibition Director at the Center for Asian American Media. He takes part in CamFest, which is dedicated to promoting and supporting Asian filmmakers to a broad audience.
Again, this is really stripping away any nuance to who Asian Americans are. It's stereotyping us into this is what we are, and this is our motives. So kind of the foreigner stereotype of us coming over, not really caring about our the general community, but only about ourselves and our roots back home. I think that has been probably the most devastating thing, because it means to a lot of people, these Asian Americans are not Americans. Their real responsibility or connection is with their homelands.
These stereotypes often lead to microaggressions. Microaggressions are brief, commonplace, everyday indignities that can be verbal, behavioral, or environmental, and that have physical, emotional, and mental effects for those targeted by them.
Especially in a time of anti-Asian hate, it gives people ammunition to say those people are not us. They are caricatures. We can do whatever we want because they're not real people. Representation for underrepresented communities is really important.
Filipinos were not always represented positively in the media. In 2007, the popular ABC TV show Desperate Housewives faced backlash when actress Terry Hatcher's character made a distasteful comment about Filipino medical schools.
Susan, I know for a lot of women, the word menopause has negative connotations. They hear aging, brittle bones, loss of sexual desire.
Okay, before we go any further, can I check those diplomas? Because I would just like to make sure that they're not from some med school in the Philippines.
Look, there's a simple blood test.
Filipino medical professionals, as well as Filipinos in the United States and abroad, were infuriated over the line. Philippine health professionals and government officials demanded an apology from the ABC network and even declared a boycott of the show. In 2013, comedian Catherine Ryan made a derogatory joke about Filipino children in Mock of the Week, a BBC program. In a segment titled "Unlikely Lines from a Cosmetics Commercial," she stated,
"We don't test any of our products on animals. We use Filipino children."
This of course angered Filipinos in the United Kingdom and overseas, which led to numerous protests. Many claim that Ryan intended to poke fun at the absurdity of corporate priorities and the consumer's blind demand for non-animal tested products over more important interests. But it raises the question, why Filipino children? Although negative portrayals of Filipinos in mainstream film and television do not end there, we are getting better and more positive depictions that really help show off our culture and heritage. The popular musical comedy Crazy Ex-Girlfriend provides viewers with an accurate portrayal of Filipino-Americans. In the episode titled My First Thanksgiving with Josh, Rebecca is invited to have Thanksgiving dinner with the Chan family, also played by Filipino-American actors. As a Filipino viewer, this show is refreshing because it showcases Filipino-Americans as different rather than abnormal, and is an accurate representation of the Filipino-American experience. The PBS Kids show Jelly, Ben, and Pogo follows a Filipino family and their adventures of working together to solve a problem. Each episode introduces children to Filipino cultural heritage, foods, and the Tagalog language, while teaching social and emotional growth and relationship skills.
Wow, ang galing!
It is necessary to continue the discussion of the importance of Filipino-American representation and point out the racist portrayals of Asian Americans in the film industry. Especially at a time of anti-Asian hate, we need other communities of color and people who are passionate to stand up and advocate for greater Filipino-American representation. Asian American cinema in Hollywood is progressing, but telling stories within the bubble of Asian Americans is no longer enough. The future of Asian American cinema is expanding what it means to be Asian American in a larger group of BIPOC communities. With the recent hate crimes against the Asian American community, it is important to see more Asian American stories represented in the mainstream media to help fight and break down stereotypes and misconceptions, as well as build solidarity with other communities of color.